Yeah, could you
Anyway,
let me know which season that one
yeah,
is?
I was just trying to find the state of mind where your back doesn't hurt. I sat there and I went and saw this back specialist, and they're like, all right, we can do this, and like Paige works with him, and like they're like, we'll set you up with an MRI, and I'm like waiting on this MRI. It's almost been a month, so I got to call and yell at them. It's just freaking ridiculous. And then I saw the gastroenterologist. This is not the funnest.
What is a gastro?
It's like your esophagus,
What is
throat,
that?
stomach. It's like your digestive, like your upper digestive tract.
Okay, I got you.
And so I go see this guy because like I can't eat eggs, and I've been constantly choking on food, and my dad had esophageal cancer when he was exactly around my age, 45 or so, and I'm 42 now. And so I'm sitting there, and like, so I got scoped. They blew up my freaking throat. They shoved something so far down it and made it plumper, and then my throat got stretched out. There's all sorts of that stuff. And then like, so I go there and I talk to him. He's like, here's.
Was this a doctor? A doctor that was
I was
stretching your throat out?
unconscious. I
Because
was unconscious. You'll have to check the video. Just look online. It's got to be somewhere.
OnlyFans
Yeah. So I go do that or whatever, and so I work a 12-hour shift, and then I'm working 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. So I get done with work, I go home, I shower, go show up to the gastroenterologist, and he gives me like, we have this steroid you could put on your throat, and that generally helps, could clear it up for a couple months. We can put you on this super restrictive diet, and then we can allergy test you, and then we can have this other pill or whatever. And it's like, well, let's try the steroid, and then we'll allergy test me and all this stuff. And it's just like, it's kind of interesting kind of hearing those things. I was like, well, could it be like animals or whatever? And he's just like, oh yeah. And like, it's just like the same thing that triggers people's asthma causes the inflammation and the reaction in the esophagus too. And I'm sitting here going like, would it be sad to see the cat and the dog go? For me, probably not. Probably not. For everybody else, yes.
So what you're saying is I need to come up with some kind of allergy to all the horses, the rabbits, the chickens, the
Oh,
cats. I think my family would get rid of me first.
yeah. I literally brought that up, and one of the stepdaughters said, "Or you could go," and so that was a very
Oh, snap.
yeah. As
Like,
we're
oh, that's our relationship now, is it?
as we spent $90, and we're like running through some like corn bellies, like fall freaking playground or whatever you do.
I like this stepdaughter.
Yeah, they're all uniquely sassy. That's funny. Anyways, welcome to the Paracast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez. Joining me today, he stood downrange of 600 armed men, and for the first time, no one said, "Sir, this is not your home." It's Robert Wyatt.
Yeah, I got nothing. I
Yeah, he's got
nothing.
I was sitting there looking at the
You know,
pictures.
in
Go ahead.
yeah, go.
Well, I was sitting. I
Oh, it was
was
just funny 'cause
fine. You go. You go. Go.
okay, I'm going. It was funny. Of all the people that I took pictures of, I only had one person that actually told the RO to have me move back. Only one. Damn bitches.
People want that shot of themselves floating around the internet. Their action pose, like the color. I don't know if like there's probably like the color correction or the temperature of the photos and the contrast. Everything looks so good on those photos. The only thing
Thank
is
you.
like the only thing is like. Of course, like you have a spot where you take a picture of every shooter, and it's going to be from that spot, so everyone has the same thing. So it's just like
Hmm.
there's just going to be like, I don't know, a third of the people are going to change their profile picture to that picture of them, that action shot, and then it's just going to be like everybody who's friends on Robert Wyatt with Robert Wyatt on Instagram is basically going to have a photo by Robert Wyatt, and everyone's doing the same thing. I just thought that was kind
It
of
is.
interesting.
It is pretty funny. Because I just give these away. I always have. But I mean, I think probably one of the coolest bits is you see your friends starting to change their Instagram and their Facebook profiles, and you're like, I took that shot. That
Oh
was
yeah,
me. And it's a little what do you call it? Like feather in the cap moment of
yeah.
like maybe you did something that was kind of cool.
You could watermark these, and then charge, instead of having it say like via Getty, across use Robert
Yeah.
Wyatt, and then they can pay you the $8, and then they can get theirs, download it without the watermark. That would be
Yeah, I could. I've never been. I've never been good at promoting that. I mean, even like Brian Conley's like, you could sell these things, and I'm like, I got a great job. I like what I'm doing, and honestly, at the end of the day, it's what I tell everybody. Like, we have this really kick-ass sport, and I love our sport, but we never have a really cool picture of us, right? It's always like behind the back or some weird thing like that. And at best, you'll get like this side profile shot. But if you can get somebody that will basically stand in a place that increases the likelihood of having them die, you can get a really good shot out of the deal.
I am not as trusting of shooters as you are. Like I have seen too many people, and especially like on a national level, like the like at a high stakes match, like nationals or like a
Hmm.
state or an area match. I have seen people who had a hard enough time um handling the firearm at a level 1, and then when you see them at a level 2, 3, 4 match, when all of a sudden they're like, I'm gonna win B class. And I just, you know what? I just had this switch I didn't flip before. I had that dog in me that I didn't. I'm unleashing him. I'm letting him out of the internal cage, and then it's like even more haphazard. And so like you're standing 5 degrees off of what would be some 9 millimeter coming at you. So I'm just, you can do it. And
It
the other part too is like, I don't like standing in front of like pistols, just kind of off the 180s. One thing, standing out kind of slightly in front of open guns is a little bit more uh
sketchy.
sketchy and intimidating that way.
Yeah. Well, it actually worked really well. I got pictures of almost everybody in the match. Outside of like a couple, like probably about a stage and a half on Friday, I had pre-scoped out. I think I talked about this earlier, but I had pre-scoped out like the stages
Yeah.
that I thought would get me a good shot, and then eventually I got up to where I ultimately just stayed for the rest of the match. And what was what was interesting about it was once I got there, I was looking at it and I grabbed because the ROs are staying there permanently, and so I kind of grabbed the CRO Tammy Waite, and I was like, and I went over and I like, if I stand right here, is this going to be okay with you? And they're like, yeah, you're behind the two ROs, and I was like, cool. And so I actually took a photo of it, but I actually like scratched an X in the ground, in the dirt and whatnot, and then I just kept walking back to that spot every single time because the shots are actually really good. But if you were to actually swing that gun and point it at me, you would have crossed one of the other ROs. So you'd have to point it at the RO before you ever pointed at me.
Body shield.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. Like some of you guys are too skinny. I need a better RO.
Yeah, you're just like,
But
what is that? What is that? Oh, this is the limited guys coming up. That's full power 40. Let me get the thick one. Let me get the thick
yeah.
boy here. It's full metal jacket. That's gonna cut right through you.
What's super crazy though is like people have like these Insta 360 hat cams and stuff like that. And there's a Discord channel and somebody actually had posted their Insta 360 video of that stage, and you can see me clear as day, and it looks like I am right on that 180. I mean, it looks like I'm standing right there. And so people are like, "Oh, the photographer is really dumb." As I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Yeah, that does look super sketch."
Yeah,
But then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. The camera's doing something. It's doing some weird compression or something. I don't know how that part works." But I explained it. I'm like, "No, actually, if you looked at where I was versus where the shooter's coming through, and I took a picture of him, like this is I actually showed the picture of the shooter who his video was, and I was like, this is actually where I was, and here's where I was to them, and I was like so far uprange, they'd really have to they'd have to work hard to point the gun at me. The that match was people complained about there was a lot of shots on the 180, and there was some shots. There certainly was, but where I was working the match, working where I was photographing the match. Um, Tammy and Amanda, Roger and all the guys, they did great. They were fantastic, and I never once at that during that whole match felt like I'm actually in danger here. There's a couple parts where the what is it, shooting USA?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Scouting. They had their camera set further down range than I was, and like I was just standing right next to him, and so. But that's the thing, dude. I mean, like occasionally you get some shots that are just like, damn, that was a cool shot,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it just came out.
angles and perspectives are always rough on cameras too. Like I remember having a GoPro, like the old like GoPro here, like this is how old this is. GoPro like Hero 3 Black or whatever, like mounted on top of a hat
Oh,
or
right.
whatever,
Hmm.
or the headband, and just going through and then shooting and then like reloading and then watching the video and seeing the comics. Like you keep breaking the 180 on like even like on IDPA videos where like you shoot, you go to reload, and then all of a sudden it looks like you're
Hmm.
breaking the 180 with some cone over there, whatever. And like it's not close, but like the perspective or the distances on that just kind of are always weird. What I was noticing, I watched Jacob Hetherington's match video. I think he shot in limited optics
He
from
shot
concealment.
limited and concealment, and he won the 1984 Corvette that Hunter Constantine did with the whole belt bounty thing,
Yeah,
and that was cool. I mean, credit where credit's due. Hunter Constantine is really what he's doing. Honestly, it's more exciting than the actual winner of USPSA
yeah.
because there's just so much more hype behind the whole thing, and
Explain the
it's crazy.
the contest for the car.
Yeah, so he has this thing. It's the belt bounty, BELT bounty, and it's if you shoot from concealment the whole match, then you are entered. So he has all like there's money, there's prizes, there's all kinds of things that are just that are thrown into this bounty, and if you shoot the match all the way through, you can win money. If you win your division, shooting from concealment, I think area two this year there's like $10,000 that's to be divided up among the winners. Last year at Carry Optic, or no, it was this year at Carry Optic Nationals in Ohio. I mean, he people were walking away with stacks of $1 bills that looked like like
Yeah,
drug money, kind of just big stacks,
yeah.
and it's it's really impressive. I mean, it is absolutely like it's the marketing that USPSA legitimately needs because this is from the ground level and it's not happening on USPSA's dime, it's happening from somebody else. And so it's
Well,
it's
this
been impressive.
this
And
this was the corporate sponsorship sort of thing that other sports went to for prizes and tournaments.
yeah,
And like
yeah, no, for
the
sure.
the gun industry won't do that kind of stuff. The gun industry is too cheap to kind of do that stuff, especially
Yeah.
on like these kind of years. Like until like a Democrat comes in and starts banning guns and they make money hand over fist, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, so when I got up to stage 19, Hunter had actually, so that was the stage that he sponsored, the Hunter Constantine belt.
Yeah,
They sponsored that stage, and it became really apparent. And this is something that I learned a long time ago from Brian Conley, Hunter's HD Gold, and I'm seeing it now that I'm doing a lot of photography at these matches. I'm seeing it more and more. There is a difference between when it comes to like banner placements at matches and stuff like that. There is a difference between somebody who actually is trying to give back to the sponsors and somebody who's just like, hey, Tommy, we've got 37 banners. Just go throw them up on some stage.
yeah,
Because what you find is like when I was doing that stage, where I where the couple places that I actually set up to take photos on the stage, you always could see the sponsor banner. And that is huge. Area 3 had a very similar thing where you could always see that Area 3 banner and it was bright, it was colorful. The Hunter Constantine banner, like mean, pretty much almost 99% of the photos that I took have Hunter Constantine's belt in the background. And in a lot of cases, he had this QR code, and you could just scan it. You could actually like pull up the image on your phone, and you could scan it, and it will take you right to his recipe to his website.
Yeah.
That is something that people need to start paying more attention to from the perspective of how do we encourage sponsors to actually want to be a part of our matches, because right now if people go and they take those photos that I took and they post them, Hunter Constantine is functionally getting free advertising for the next forever until they get rid of their photos, because it he is in every single one of the backgrounds. That's a big damn deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think most match directors, match staff, I don't think they honestly appreciate that. And so like if you're like a sponsor for a match, the best thing you can do honestly is what Brian Conley does. I mean, he shows up and he's like, "I've got my own banner. I will go put them up myself." And then he actually thinks about it from the perspective of where's the shooter going to be going past? Where is the video of that person? Potentially, where's the photographer going to be taking a picture? Hunter, I when I talked to Hunter Constantine, what was it? I think it was Saturday. I was shown a bunch of pictures that I taken. I'm like, look, this is what you did. And he's like, yeah, I showed up like 30 minutes before they closed the range, and we were just putting banners everywhere we thought that somebody would actually go past it.
Yeah.
And it flat out worked. And it's just one of those silly things that honestly I don't think 99% of the people actually think about. But from my perspective of like taking photographs and things like that, I pay attention to that stuff like a lot. And I absolutely will admit that I parked myself in a place that I would make sure that his banner was in the background of it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Speaking about the match, I was sitting there looking at some of the match videos, and it looked like there was some decently difficult shots in that match.
That's what that's what I heard. I heard that like people they were not used to actually having to take some of these shots as far out as they were, and that's to the credit of Seps, right? I mean, they have wide, deep bays, and so they're putting mini poppers out at 15, 20 yards or
Yeah.
whatever, and it ate some people's lunch, and that's a good thing. I think that's what you want to see at a national level event, because that's the kind of thing that creates the stratification between the class levels.
Yeah.
And I thought this I actually, just from looking at the stages, I mean, I didn't shoot them obviously, but I thought the stages generally looked fun. There's no doubt that you could take a lot of those stages and just plunk them down anywhere. You'd have to shrink them down to get into the bays, but there was a there was an interesting podcast. So people were complaining. We actually talked about it on the last podcast we did about this shaky table bridge thing.
Yeah, I was
And
looking at that in the match photo. So you had like some targets to the left and right, and then eventually you had to go prone on
yeah,
a suspended platform, and then shoot
hmm
through the platform at a handful of targets or whatever.
yeah, you shot through this little prone port, and it was a double stack with a no shoot in between it. And honestly, it was interesting because I mean I talked to like Dave talked about it, and he's like he didn't like it. He said, it should have only been two. It shouldn't have counted for that many points. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. And so there's a lot of angst and complaining about that perspective of the stage. But I was listening to Brian Conley on the Rumble channel, the Hunters HD Gold. He had Jake Martins on, and it was really interesting to me because Jake Martins, he made a point of saying, "Did any of you guys see the video that was playing at the awards ceremony?" And what he said, which I thought was a really, really good point, was if you look at the old school IPSC USPSA
Yeah,
match videos,
I was about to
these
bring this
guys
up.
they're jumping over things, they're in and out of props, they're doing all kinds of just wild and crazy stuff. Like you had to, I mean, just all these like things that we would do in IDPA that we can no longer do in USPSA, right? But that begs the question. I mean, like these OG guys, they would do these things, and arguably those look like some fun things. But now, if we put a shaky table bridge or whatever on there, 90% of the match is going to complain about it, saying that it's too hard, it's too gimmicky. And on one hand, dude, I get it. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, that is a
Yeah.
little bit gimmicky, but it's freaking memorable, and that's pretty
This
awesome.
this is the thing that's going to make USPSA kind of hard to push out. Like, we want to have some sort of form of visual spectacle and athleticism, and then we don't want to for the amount of participation that we want to have. So on one hand, it's like we want everybody who can participate and compete, and we want to do this safely, and which is funny because no one shot themselves on the shaky table, but someone shot themselves not on the shaky table. Um,
Exactly.
but you want this spectacle. You want people running, going through like Cooper tunnels and jumping over barricades and doing rope climbs and shooting. It's like, yes, and then the amount of people who are physically going to be able to do that and compete at a high level, and like the numbers drastically going to shrink. Like all of a sudden, like the people who are sitting there volunteering for the sport, like you're like they can't get that low. They can't safely get low or high or climb over or run 50 yards and then jump over something, kind of like the old kind of school kind of
But
matches would be.
I I get that, Tommy, but the average age for years of USPSA was in the 50s. And so if these guys were doing it back in the 90s, then and they were able to accomplish it, then it's less about an age thing, and it starts to then, in my opinion, it starts to become more of a, I hate to say it, I mean, people just wanting to bitch. And like I get people don't like didn't like Sherwin stages, but they were memorable. People didn't like the shaky table, but it was memorable. And these are all things that existed in USPSA of the 90s that arguably makes it a really, really cool product. And so it just it feels like in some aspects, and I could be wrong about this, but it feels like in some aspects, people they want all the cool without having to do the real work. They just want to run around and do the same thing that they do every single time.
Yeah.
And but then when you give them that, they're like, "Well, this was boring. It was the same stages that we had every time. Cool. We'll add this prop to it. Oh no, no, you can't do that. We can't have that.
Yeah,
Well, what
well,
do you want?
you very
Because we
much
give you what you want, and then you complain.
don't see like the one-handed pulley stuff. Or like remember like 10, 15 years ago, you'd see a bunch of stuff where you'd have like
Oh, like
pull
the Rhodesian wall
yeah, you
thingies
pull a
and stuff
rope,
like
shoot
that.
strong hand, pull it with the other hand, shoot the other hand. Well, oh, I had to shoot weak hand or whatever. People look in 8 billion different ways of gaming the system. Like it's hard to have a sport that has to be as large and as fit as many wide-ranging amounts of competitors as USPSA does.
Hmm.
Like if you sat there and said, "Hey, it's an invitational." And it's 40 people and it's the best and we're going to hand select them to compete. It's by then like you could do all sorts of stuff, but like USPSA is not supposed to do that. And so here becomes kind of what we are talking about with the car and the giveaway, which is the pool of USPSA that people could get pulled out of this prestigious thing that doesn't have as much gimmicks or whatever could easily be invited to a match, some sort of outlaw match that would allow those sort of things. Because people are interested not only in the shooting but the spectacle and the athleticism of it. And this is why like more people know about the tactical games than they know about USPSA. Like, oh, you got to like carry this stuff and this stuff looks more spectacally
No, it's visually interesting.
it's visually interesting, and like most people don't know what it feels like to shoot that fast or what exactly it needs, but they're like, oh man, they had to carry this 70-pound thing and throw it over a stick 8 times and then run over here. Like people understand like that could be hard. And so like there's more visually appealing stuff that people in USPSA do not want to do, because people at USPSA are there to shoot a stage with a handgun as fast as they can and are very, what would I say? People in USPSA are a lot more bitchy about certain presentations and targets than any other sport. Like I've never well, you look at kind of the old school or like people going out there and like shooting B8s. It's like I got a partial tuxedo at 25 yards. Cool. Like I can do that. Like I'll go out there and shoot that. And now if you have like 3 of those in a match, it's like the shots were too hard. I wasn't able to go as fast as I wanted to. Like the amount of athleticism versus like actual handgun skill gets bad. So like all of a sudden like the accuracy requirement gets too high and comes out of athleticism. I don't like the match. All of a sudden you
Hmm.
get a shaky table. I had to do something that I didn't want to do. I didn't like the match, and it's the amount of
Wait,
like
and then right in the middle of all that is, oh, we had a bunch of stages. They're the same stages that could be put in Salt Lake or in St. George.
boring
Boy,
stages.
why don't we do anything cool? Well, because you complain about this and you complain about that. The only commonality in all the things that we offer is you just complain. And
Yeah,
it's I get it, right? It kind of sounds like we're being pessimistic. I actually don't think so. I think it's just an observation of how we are as like consumers of this sport and product, where we if I mean when we're actually out at the match and they're doing match things, we're all having a great time. But as soon as we step away from it and then we're having that water cooler talk, we're like, no, this sucks, that sucks, everything sucks, all about the suck. And it's but that's the thing. Like when you're actually doing the thing, it's pretty freaking fun and it's really enjoyable. But the hardest thing, and it makes me almost wonder though, if it's easier to do unique and fun things when you're smaller, like when you're just starting out, because you don't have as big of a history behind you. Because I was like, Slipsa used to put on some really just banger of matches, and you do some really fun and crazy things. And we're slowly getting to the point where we're getting emails saying, "Hey, don't make the match too hard because, if you make people sad, they won't come back." And there's a balance, right? Everything's got to have a balance, but at the same time, if you're not if you're not putting tuxedos on a swinger and then giving people like, 3 or 4 places to actually shoot it, are you really doing the fun things anymore? Because some of those goofy, I mean, a tuxedo at 25 yards, that's a unique prop. It's a
yeah.
challenging prop. You actually have to do some things. But if the recommendations are all like, don't do hard things, just open targets, open targets, open targets, that's fun, but it's it's not as rewarding over a long period of time.
Well, it's
And I
do people want to feel rewarded or do they want to have their ego stroked? Like the game of basketball is the
Oh,
same.
ego. Dude,
Every
it's always
it's
ego.
an ego thing. Well, it's a grievance
Yeah.
culture and an ego thing. It's like the same people who are complaining about Glock switching. It's like, bitch at Sig for not changing their design and having or allegedly, for the kind lawyers at
Hmm.
Sig, having an unsafe pistol. All of a sudden Glock makes a decision that's obviously financially cost for them to switch over to their V and try to do whatever they can to eliminate the Glock switch. And what do? You see the grievance culture come out, like the Redditors
Hmm.
who spend their time complaining about whatever happens to X, Y, or Z, or that everything else sucks, and then they head off and watch trans porn. Like these people are the people that just kind of just ruin. Well, that's the Redditors. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's the Redditors. This is the grievance culture of like
Take
ego
that, all
stroking.
you not another shooting show Redditor users.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's the stage was too hard. It was too athletic. I didn't get to shoot a bunch of open targets at 7 yards and at 3 yards with my race gun, and then walk around being like, I'm a GM, and it's just like, okay, cool. Like that's exactly what you wanted, but like that's not good. It's like, do you want a
Right.
competition or do you want to make yourself feel better?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
as soon as like it becomes either one of that spectrum, they're bouncing out of it. Or they bring out the grievance culture of it. But like I very seldomly see people who are very, very successful over a wide range of matches bitch about how the matches were laid out.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. But that's the fun bit about it, right? Because everybody has an opinion on it. But I promise you, all the people that are like, I didn't like this, that, or the other, they're gonna sign up for the next nationals.
They're
They're
gonna,
gonna come down
yeah,
because it's fun.
because if they
It's
place,
actually fun. When you're doing the fun thing, it's fun.
yeah, and even the funny thing is like when there is some close range hoser match or things that play to somebody else's suit, like if they still do not perform well, there's still a complaint. There's
Yeah.
still a complaint. Like what worked well, what went well. It's like, well, my gun didn't malfunction. Like it shot to the sights. I just didn't do as well as I wanted, but like I made some hard things. But like all the people who are going to complain about whatever match, guess what? Guess what? Every stage that they did well on is going to be on their Instagram account, even if they said that a match was bullshit. Like, F off. Like, all the
It's funny how that works.
weird, huh? What weird?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
a protest? F off. Like to the complaint culture, to the grievance culture, and all the stupid stuff. F off. Like, do not listen to these people. Like they've not created anything, nor have they solved anything. There's constructive criticism, and then there's the people who got their ego bruised. F off. Like, doesn't matter.
And
Anyway,
and for all the people who actually stuck around, we still love you.
yeah, we still love you. I got 12 more minutes, and I got to get ready. After I got to get ready to go to church after saying Redditors watch transport and to tell all the grievance people to f off. You know, like whatever.
Should we do questions then?
Yeah, let's do questions.
For my favorite Sebastian, hey, has Jared seen an uptick in grocery theft? Well, he's probably out on a call now, dealing with the grocery theft.
It's November 2nd, everybody. We went to In
Yeah.
and Out last night, and there was this guy who was in this like really scary clown costume, just staring at people, like holding like a bag that looked like it had like body parts or whatever. Just one of these creepy clown guys, and it's just me, my stepdaughter, and Paige. You know, we're walking in the In and Out, and she goes, "Well, what if he does something?" He's like, "He's gonna get fucking shot. Is what's gonna happen." Like this guy thinks he's the scariest. So maybe he's in there. Maybe he's just collecting snap or whatever. But yep,
I don't know, dude. Like I grew up, and I know you're in the same boat. I grew up very poor, and we had to live on assistance, and I don't begrudge anybody who's on assistance. It sucks. But it was always a stopgap measure for us, and my parents were always working their butts off trying to
yeah.
get off of it.
Like I
And
kind
we
of
we
wish
never we never lived our life that way, right? I mean, we were always trying to get off of it.
that there was a cutoff for like at certain times with my parents, either or at different parts of their lives, because then they would have been forced to do something. Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing. It's just like you would be forced to do something. The amount of frustration and pride I have to make money to see it sometimes wasted and then sometimes used effectively is just it's just wonderful. It's just like no matter what happens, if I die from having an allergic reaction where my esophagus closed up because I had too much dog hair or whatever on a chip or something like that, and I die over it, my family will never be like lazy, didn't provide, and it's just like nope, all that's done. So
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know, dude. It's like I always feel bad for people in a position of having to need things, and it makes me upset that, our government does what government does. But at the end of the day, um, that's when you live by the government, you die by the government.
I always rarely feel bad. I always feel bad for the dependents of people who are on programs like that. I always feel bad for the dependents or the kids who have to sit there and be in that
It's the
situation.
kids.
The
Yeah.
adults in that situation, my compassion level's probably at 25%, because just like we said, there's going to be a lot of the grievance culture that kind of rides out in that neighborhood. And having been somebody who had a family household that was like on $9,000 a year, um,
Hmm.
yeah, even if there's not a vocal grievance to it, there's a grievance of it where people are not moving themselves in a direction. And like as a guy who's literally done a job that was the best possible job I could do for my situation, and it's not something I particularly enjoyed over the past 25 years, like grow up. Grow up. You don't have
Yeah.
to, you can do things that you don't want to do. You can shoot targets at 25 yards that aren't big open ones with your major gun. Like, sucks. I know you can't double Charlie it and get 8 points. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
From Rory Norman, has there ever been a general resource guide for building walls, stage props, or is it all tribal knowledge passed from one person to the next? Actually, we have a club manual that I was lucky enough to be a part of, where they're rebuilding it, and it's really good. And it's the nice thing about it is it's evergreen, and so anytime you had there on every single one of the pages, do you have a suggestion? You can click that, you can add more information, but you can find that at USPSA, and it's with the amount, if we can encourage people to keep adding to it and making it better, you're going to find that that's going to be a good one-stop shop of very, very relevant information.
Yeah. The amount of looking at furniture, like furniture mounting hardwares, like when you look at furniture like sectionals and how they click onto each other, it's like there's a lot of
Hmm.
stuff that could be done just by having a
Oh yeah.
uniform set of like vertical versus horizontal slide-ins.
Yeah. The thing about all of what we do in USPSA is you really have to understand and know that the life of a USPSA member. This actually is interesting because they're dealing with they're completely rewriting the bylaws. Like they've gutted it, and it's a brand new bylaw, which is interesting to me because USPSA has never, like, ever been good at understanding the historical ramifications and reasons why things happened. And so they're making this whole set of bylaws that I can't help but wonder what was so wrong with our bylaws in the first place. But secondly, does this new bylaw only work because you have strong people at the helm today that actually can make it work? Because that's the problem that you had with the old bylaws,
Yep.
is they worked under the strong administration. And so when these really strong people that are there today, Jim Boone, Frank Rizzi, people like that, who really understand these things and are super smart, when they're gone, will this work if they're not there? Because if it doesn't, then your new set of bylaws, your rules, all these things, then they're no good. They're functionally actually quite worthless, in my opinion, because all you've done is you've just mucked things up to your satisfaction, and then when you're gone, somebody else is going to have to fix it. And the whole thing with the club manual is to create something that will work no matter who is in power. It's always going to be effective. And that's something that I think is really important for people to always be thinking about is, does this work if I'm not here?
Yep.
Because if it doesn't, then you need to solve it.
Yep.
From Justin Sonnen, what are your thoughts on LOCO and the path forward for the organization? Should the org take this reads weird. Basically, what are your thoughts on limited optics and carry optics, and what path should the organization take now that limited optics has been a real division for a year?
I think honestly I think the USPSA is doing great. Look at there. How many shooters were there? Were there dang 250 shooters in Well, let's see here.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember the actual divisional breakdown of it, but there was like 611 people who shot the match. I think something like that,
Yeah, and
and
I
the
think
majority
damn
of it
near
was
over.
LO.
Yeah, I think like almost 250 shooters were in limited optics,
Yeah,
and factory gun nationals carry optics was a big number of that too. Like
yeah.
they're very similar.
We're very quick. Mhm.
They're very similar. They're
Yeah.
very similar divisions. Like the divisions aren't as well separated as they used to be. Because the thing that used to separate divisions was essentially you had the two big ones, production and limited. What separated those two?
Yep.
Capacity, action type, and major versus minor power factor.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that's that. And so what separates LO and CO? Action type.
Action type and a magwell.
Yeah, but
That's it.
there's plenty of divisions that are separated almost just kind of like by an action type.
But so interesting. This is an interesting piece of anecdotal evidence of nothing. There's a lot of people that were shooting LO with functionally CO guns, just Shadow twos, didn't have a magwell on it or nothing.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and I've got tons of pictures that all kind of like prove this out, but if that's the case, and we know that's the case, then really that kind of argues for us just going to a place of saying, okay, we're going to have slide right optics as a division. Don't call it limit optics. Don't call it carry optics. It'll be slide right optics. Pick whatever you want. I don't care the name, right? But if you have that many people who are competing with the same gun they would use in the other division, then that tells me that the divisions are they've largely merged. There's no point in
Well, it's
having
essentially
a separate distinction.
the same division, and the distinction like if we like change capacity, would that be that big of a deal? Probably not. The main thing is that why you're not going to have too big of a separation in divisions anymore is because nobody wants to shoot full power loads. Period. No one's
Yeah.
going to shoot 40 caliber. It's too damn expensive now. It's too rare. No one's shooting 45. Doesn't give you the capacity. It's too expensive. Any other the smaller options, 38 Super Comp or something like that, no one else is going to do that. And so like no one had this problem when we had production guns, and then we went into you had a production gun, and then you stuffed it up, put a base plate on it, and went and shot minor limited.
Hmm.
Like essentially it was the same thing. It's like until there's not going to be a structural difference between them until you add something out there. And really nowadays that thing is what separated divisions. Like you could shoot a
Right.
Glock 34 in or a Glock 35 in production and in limited, and plenty of people did shoot Glocks in limited for a long time. And the main difference wasn't the gun or the action type or the capacity, because the guns could switch capacity at will, was the
Hmm.
bullet that went out of the gun and the scoring difference. Like single stack in production, if when they were 10 rounds, are essentially the same, except for one of them got to shoot major, and that really set the
Yeah.
difference even in the same division. So it's just like there's just little minute little changes. And are they very similar? Yes, but they've always been very similar if you're not talking about the difference between scoring.
Exactly.
So
All right. Last question. From Dave Blanton. Do Tom and Jared feel intimidated by having to fill the shoes of such remarkably handsome co-hosts from last week?
yes, I've been catching up on David's YouTube channel, so I do feel intimidated by the glory that we have going on.
That big dad energy.
Yeah, yep. So I need I what did I need a review on? There was a gun I wanted a review on, and I wanted David to do it. It slips my mind at the moment, but we'll have him hop on. He needs, you know what he needs to do? He needs to do it the best gun under $200. He needs to go on the old gun.deals and just look around. But
There you go.
they're all
That'd be a
pretty
fun one.
they're all pretty good for that price. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for subscribing. Uh, remember when you have your race gun in your little race gun holster, not to shoot yourself because that's bad. And I, for the life of me, will never understand why we have to have something that does not completely cover the firing mechanism of the gun, and we have to have a race holster. I will never see why these things must be.
Because because unlike a traditional bucket holster, a race holster is uniquely situated to be exceptionally effective at shooting yourself. So there you go.
Yeah. Or having the gun fall out and endangering other people, or locking the
Yeah.
holster and not being able to effectively draw because you have to go down there and sweep off the lock. Like I, yeah, it's dumb. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyways, thanks to Robert Wyatt. For Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast. And stay off of Reddit. It's bad for you. It's
Stay off
bad for you.
Reddit.
Stay off.
Oh, especially that NAS subreddit. That thing's trash. Love you, Andy. Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.